This video is essentially a crash course in AI. So if you're a complete beginner or you feel overwhelmed with everything that's happening in AI, this video is for you. Thanks to Zapier, which is the most connected AI orchestration platform and is sponsoring the video. Hi, my name is Prashanth, and if you don't know me already, I've been creating content about AI tools and workflows since 2020 on my channel, digitalSamaritan, on TikTok and Instagram for the most part. So let's get into it. So first of all, we're gonna look at the big four players. So we have ChatGPT, we have Claude by Anthropic, we have Google Gemini, and Microsoft Copilot. So when you ask about AI to a lot of people who are just getting started, they think AI is just a chatbot. It is just ChatGPT, but it is a lot more than that, which we're gonna cover in the video. All the different tools you need to know for different things you can actually do with AI right now, like that works. So talking about the big four, they essentially do the exact same thing. They're built by different companies and there are nuances to each one of them that is a bit different. So we're gonna pretty much look at ChatGPT as an example, and then I will probably show you what the terminology or the language is and different capabilities of these different players like Claude or Gemini or Copilot. And when I would recommend you use that over ChatGPT, etc. And then we're gonna jump into some of the different niche AI tools that I think is super useful for anyone who's just getting started, especially if you are a white collar professional and you are scared about losing your job to AI and you want to keep up, you want to learn with how you can start leveraging AI a lot more in your work so you can augment your capabilities and make you super productive and super smart person in what you do. Okay, so once you're logged into ChatGPT, one of the things confuses a lot of people are all these different models. At the time of recording this video, there's 4.0, there's 0.3, there's 0.4 mini, 0.4 mini high. There's 4.5, which is in research preview, 4.1, 4.1 mini. I know it can be really overwhelming. So honestly, I would say you don't have to think about which even model to use or whatnot. Whatever your task might be, just use 4.0. Maybe if you're trying to do something that requires a lot more reasoning, maybe you're doing something that requires coding or data analysis, you can probably start looking into models like 0.3 that has more advanced reasoning capabilities. But I would say just stick with ChatGPT 4.0 and keep things simple. Okay, so ChatGPT, like Gemini, Claude, and Copilot, they essentially work the same way. Here we have an option where we can just type whatever thing we want AI to do. For example, create a video script for AI crash course video on Digital Samaritan channel. Very simple task. I can use it to brainstorming things, but I'm sure you're familiar with all the things you can do with just a little chat interface. So we're gonna get into a little bit different details. So here we have an option to use the search. So whenever we just do the query within ChatGPT without the search enabled, so ChatGPT only has access to information up until a certain date based on the model you're using and the updates they have. For example, for the most part, ChatGPT 4.0 model only has access to information based on what is available on the internet up until maybe January or February of 2025. So the difference between is that, when you want something which needs reference to more recent information, then you would want to have your search enabled. In the same way, you have a deep research feature, which would essentially instead of going through just, AI doing its thing, it's going to go through 50 or 60 different links that you would Google yourself. And it's going to use that as an information and bring back the results based on whatever query you have. Here's another feature as well, which is creating visuals. We're going to get into that a bit later. And then we have an option here to dictate. Sometimes, you don't want to chat, you don't want to type. Maybe you're trying to communicate your idea and you're better able to communicate your idea just through a voice mode. So I would just use dictate function, chat, have a conversation with ChatGPT, and then let it do its thing. One thing to note here is that there's a temporary chat feature over here. When you do that, it's like ChatGPT incognito mode. So whatever you chat in that specific setting, it's not going to use that to update its memory. Because if you go to the settings here for your ChatGPT, you have this option called, let's see if it's under personalization, it's called memory. So once you have memory enabled, it's gonna start adding certain things to the memory. So maybe let's say I mentioned my channel name, Digital Samaritan, and it's added to the memory. So I wouldn't have to add that every single time onto my prompt. It's gonna automatically pull it from the memory. So it really depends on how much personal experience you want when you're using your tools like ChatGPT or not, and that you're able to turn off or on the setting or use a temporary chat feature if necessary. So yeah, that's just pretty much your simple ChatGPT chat, which you can do, but I'm sure you're familiar with that. So let's look at a couple of things that's important to know if you're trying to master these tools. So here, when we went down to this ellipsis, we saw this option for Canvas. So if we go to Canvas and now we just, let's say, use the same prompt here. So now we use the same prompt. We're not gonna get this just text as we got over here. It has a different kind of window here now. And you can see now we have a tab, we have a chat interface on the left, and we have this Canvas mode on the right. So this is like what ChatGPT introduced to help people like use this more as a Google Doc, essentially. So this is more like a collaborative space where, let's say you're trying to do any writing task or brainstorming task and you want to collaborate with AI versus just have AI give you the output. So now here we have our stuff, and now we can just chat, or we can like type stuff. I'm just going to type my name here as an example. I misspelled my own name twice. Oh well. So I can just chat with my, I can like edit my inputs, or like I can edit the text it generated right within this interface, versus like just copying this over to Google Docs and then trying to do work on top of it. And if I go to options over here, I have some little options here. I can add emojis, and it's just kind of like literally, I'm gonna go sections. So now it's gonna rewrite my script here, and it's gonna like add emojis to different sections. These are like quick little widgets that are sometimes handy as you're working with tools like ChatGPT, or like your writing task or brainstorming work or anything else you're trying to do. Okay, it is some reason taking a lot longer, so I'm just gonna cancel here. I'm just gonna go over like, other functionalities here too, so you have an idea what's going on here. So this one is just add final polishing. So what it's gonna do is gonna do like a bit of a review. It's gonna go over the grammar, the spellings, and all that stuff, which is kind of funny. I mean, it's AI, it should kind of know it in the first place. But perhaps, you are the one making changes. We're adding some sentences, we're like changing some stuff. So it's a good way to kind of get a good sanity check right away. Here, we have an option for reading level. So maybe you're trying to write some topic and you want to change the reading level. Maybe it seems too complex or too easy. So with a single like, drag, we can like sort of change how we want, AI to rewrite the content for that reading level. The same way we can adjust the length of the content. Maybe I wanted a bigger script or like a shorter script, or we have an option here to like suggest edits. So if we click here and we do this, it's just gonna like go through the whole document again based on a prompt and give us suggestions on what it think we should change or do differently. Let's see if it's gonna happen. So here we have an option, stop editing, because we thought stopped editing earlier. I've suggested a few improvements to tighten the flow and enhance clarity. Comments have been added. So whenever you do the suggest edit part, now we ask it to suggest some edits, and we have some comments here where it says like opening line, but there should be a real question why. It wasn't a cyber attack. I mean, I'm not really reading the document here, so I don't know what this referencing for, but essentially like it's like AI auditing whatever you had over there, just so that if you want any feedback, you want like a second perspective, second opinion on whatever canvas material you're working with, you can have that done like, right within this interface as an example. So yeah, this is kind of like basic of how the whole ChatGPT interface works. And if we go to Claude, for example, it is essentially the same thing. Here we have like, again, the chat interface. We have options to like, upload a file, take a screenshot, adding stuff from GitHub if you're using it for coding, or you can like add stuff from Google Drive. So maybe, you want to reference some documents you have in Google Drive. Once you have Google Drive connected, you can do so. But, if you want to leverage your Google Drive, I would say might as well just use Gemini, because Gemini is by Google, so it has a lot more integration with Google Drive. And then here, again, it's the same thing. We have deep research, we have the canvas where we can create docs and applications, we can add files. So essentially like all these tools are like doing the same thing, but they're just built by different companies and there are nuances to each one of them. Another feature I think that's quite critical for a lot of people to know within ChatGPT, and like Claude has its own version, so does Gemini and Copilot, is custom GPTs. If you are within ChatGPT interface, you're going to see this option called Explore GPTs. And here we have like bunch of pre-built GPTs. So GPTs essentially is like ChatGPT, but except instead of having like this massive big brain, like more like a generalist who knows it all, this is like very specific sort of ChatGPT version, little app that's like a mini ChatGPT trained on very specific tasks. So that way it can be a lot more accurate and precise on what you want it to like give you or like help you with. For example, let's say if we just go to this category for research and analysis, we have this GPT here which says finance and economics, stock, crypto, trade, invest. So this GPT, let's say what the rating is, it seems pretty decent. It's #1 in research and analysis apparently, and these number of conversations people have had with it. Again, this is just like ChatGPT. So what is today's market update? So now it has already a search capability, enabled. So it's going to search the market and give us the answer. So here we have a stock market for US S&P 500 ETF, and this is what's happening. Again, this is like a custom built GPT that you can access for free. The best part is, so you can start searching and playing with custom GPTs based on whatever your task is or whatever you want AI to do, or you can build your own. So if we go here to like my GPTs and you go create a GPT, here you have an option to configure. You can give it a name, you can give it a description, and you can give it instructions. This is specifically useful. Let's say you are like a knowledge worker, you have a specialized role, and you just want to dump whatever your thought process is. Maybe you're a copywriter, and there are certain copywriting styles you like using, which AI is never gonna know. So that way you can kind of like build your like custom assistant that is trained on your knowledge. So every time you have that task, you can have like your AI assistant sort of augment your own intelligence. So I'm not gonna build one here. So you have options to like upload files. We can train the AI on that data. It can, generate images. It can interpret like, code or like do some data analysis for you, or it has capabilities of like web search. So based on whatever, a GPT you're building, you can like add those capabilities and instructions. So I'm going to show you like one of the GPTs that I have built. So I don't know, let's just use this one. Press Secretary GPT. Okay, so I'm going to show you how like a GPT kind of looks like, so you have an idea of how you can build one for yourself. So here, I'm calling it my Press Secretary GPT, and instructions are: imagine you're my personal press secretary who want to share a news or a blog article with you. Your job is to summarize the key takeaways based on what I would care about. And then here, I'm like talking about what I do, the things that, like the sections I wanted to break down the news, and these are some simple instructions that I have. And here, the only capabilities I have enabled is like web search. So I can like look at the reference to that news and like, kind of do that thinking by itself. So ideally, like I could always just use ChatGPT and be like, hey, can you do this search thing for me? Or like, this is like the new news happened. What should I know about it? But I have to like tell AI every single time in my ChatGPT regular chat what I do, what it needs to know, what kind of structure it should present its results in, and all that stuff. Instead, for this repetitive work, I can just build a custom GPT. Maybe I can add some files of how my assistant summarizes my content or like the news, so show those as a reference files, and ChatGPT will automatically do that for me every time. So for example, like I want to use a different GPT. Like, I have like a bunch of different GPTs. So I just want to like do like my hook ranker. So here's my GPT, which like kind of helps me rank hooks for my content. So whatever hook I think is going to be good or bad for my content. What I can do here is just be like, hey, my hook for the video is: this tool will make you the prompting expert, versus this tool will unlock ChatGPT expert mode. So again, I'm just calling my GPT, which is kind of pre-trained. So it's a really good way like of just kind of calling back your GPTs or the GPTs you're like using that other people have built. So again, just super quick way of, just accessing your custom GPTs. All right, we're gonna move on. I think I've spent way too much time on just the ChatGPT, but I think it was really important to kind of go through all these basics. So if we go to Claude, it is essentially, it has the same thing as custom GPTs. They call it projects. So here we go to projects, and we have like different projects which are built the same way. We give it a name, a sample for YouTube video, and then after that we can add our project instructions and we can add our knowledge files to it. Now we can just start chatting with those different projects. We can't call it like we call like custom GPTs by just add it, but here we have an option to like just use a project which is in the chat interface. Gemini is the same thing. If we go to Gemini, we have an option here. It's called like Explore Gems. Essentially the same thing as building custom GPT. We have name, we have instructions, we have like knowledge files we can add. And likewise for Copilot as well, they have this thing called, let me just say Microsoft Copilot Agent. And Microsoft Copilot Agent is again, essentially the exact same thing, where we can like build sort of like our specialized AI assistant within those chat interfaces. And that's it. But like I said, AI is more than just these little chat tools that we have. There is so many more things we can do. So first of all, one of the things that has blown my mind, so Synthesia is creating avatars. So if I use tools like Heijen, there's like features where I can, create my own clone. All I have to do is like either upload my photo or like, record myself talking. And now I'm gonna have a hyper realistic version, which is gonna talk just like me. Here's an example. So this right here is like just me talking to the camera, recording myself, and now I just turned into like an avatar. Now all I have to do is like type my script for any video that I want to do without myself being on the camera, and this tool will turn that into a video with me and all the hand gestures and everything you just saw in the video. The same way, there's a new tool here that's called photo to video. All I have to do is like, add a photo and type the script, and now this person was going to look super realistic as they're talking to the camera. Let me show you an example of video that was done with this avatar. So this is what the video looks and sounds like. This is insane. I mean, we do need disclaimers on the internet, like if something is not real or not, but like this is, I think, a tool that you should be aware of that these kind of like, AI videos are out there. So don't trust anything blindly that's out there. Always be cautious of what's being out there. But from a marketing perspective, you can use these tools to like, start creating your content a bit more at scale. You have like your spokesperson, which is an AI generated avatar, or you have yourself, your photo, and like you can turn yourself into video content without actually recording yourself, like what I'm doing right now with my YouTube. By the way, like no matter how great the technology gets, this channel will always be AI content delivered by human. If I have to create content with just an avatar, that'll be a completely different channel. So just a little FYI here. Isn't that crazy? Like this human or AI human, I would not be able to tell if I didn't know this was kind of like real or like, it's kind of bizarre. I'm just gonna leave it at that. So yeah, these are AI video tools and these are the capabilities. Essentially, the idea is that you can create talking avatars just using AI. But if you want to create more social media content, I would say the tools are still out there. So let's say if we go to this tool called InVideo AI, I'm just gonna log in here and let me see if we can just pull up my past projects to show you quickly. Okay, so here is a video. All I did was type in a script that like, importance of financial literacy for kids. That was my prompt. And now this was like the video it generated automatically. Where essentially it created the script, it has a voiceover, it's putting a bunch of B-rolls together. I mean, I'm here on the free plan, but if I have the paid plan, the video visuals are gonna be a lot more better. It's gonna pull a lot more stock videos, or it's gonna generate those like little video assets just using AI. Speaking of, if you do wanna generate assets just using AI, I would recommend this tool called Runway ML. Like these videos that you're seeing over here, these are all AI generated. Like this right here, and all you gotta do here is just pretty much put your prompt. So like I said, AI is a lot more than just chatting. Like all these videos, which are insanely real, are built just by a prompt. So here we will just describe a shot, we will add the reference images if needed, depending on your creative vision or the ideas that you have. And the videos we're seeing over here are pretty much AI generated. I'm kind of going over these tools in like a lot more quickly, just because I wanted to kind of show you, like it's a crash course. So I just want to show you what's possible and the tools you can use it to make it happen. I have like detailed videos on a bunch of these tools on my channel already. So if you want tutorials, you can reference those videos or just leave a comment in terms of what you need to know. All right, I wanted to shock you here first with some of these AI generated visuals, like the videos, which I think are super cool. But let's look at some other things as well, which are super practical and maybe not as crazy. So presentations. I know presentations are like bane of existence for people who are in school or if you're working in consulting. I mean, that's pretty much what we get paid for. So what I like using is this tool called Gamma. So what this tool does is that it will turn any content into a presentation deck automatically for you. Let's say I create a new presentation. If I go here and I just paste like my raw content, maybe it's a Google Doc, it's a blog post, or like just my research done by ChatGPT, it's gonna automatically turn all the content into like a slide deck, which is gonna be, like this. Of course, it's not on your brand, but you can use this as a starting point, maybe now give it to someone on the team or designer or somebody else. But it's a very, very good, quick and efficient way to start using AI to do something that was going to take you at least 2 hours to kind of get to this little draft stage with your presentation template. So the tool we're using for like just going from like AI to presentation is called Gamma. All right, next up. So why limit yourself with videos or images when you can also create music with AI as well? So the tool for that I would recommend is called Suno.com. So if we go here and use their brand new model, there's a couple ways you can do content here. You can just write your own lyrics, or we can just go from prompt. We can go like by line or full song and describe like the style of music we want and then the styles we don't want. That's pretty much like the very simple way of doing so. And now it's just gonna turn that automatically into a song. So here, essentially what I did was I got information about what ChatGPT knows about me, and then, digitalSamaritan, and then turned that into a song. And this was a song it generated. So yeah, this is a tool. If we just want to like create music using AI, like why would you want to do that? A couple things that comes to mind right away. So again, if you're in marketing, you're running ads, you're creating YouTube video and you want that kind of music that is copyright free, you can use this tool. I mean, it is technically trained probably on copyrighted material, so it's kind of like a gray area how you feel about that. But as far as I know, I think it passes from like YouTube from like a compliance perspective, and you can use it for like your paid ads and whatnot. The other option is maybe you have a musical mind, musical scale, and you just want to produce music, and now you have a help of AI to do so. All right, let's move on. So what tool should you use if you want to generate images? Midjourney, of course, is the classic tool that is pretty much the top of the line. Like this is an example of some of the images generated using Midjourney. But I would say if you don't want to pay for another tool and you are already paying for ChatGPT for a model can also generate some really good images. For example, for my newsletter, which is like basically free for like AI upscaling, by the way, you should subscribe. This is like the infographic I generated to summarize a newsletter just within ChatGPT. So like ChatGPT itself is a very, very useful it's a very handy tool to create images. And it can actually like render the text as well, which was a big problem for these AI tools for a long time, that like the text would be like all over the place. But here's an example where I turned like my mascot, which is kind of like my logo, into like this little comic strip. And this was done just using ChatGPT. Like I have a video on like how do you do prompting and the things you can do with ChatGPT images, so you can watch that one. But essentially, if you want to create images and you don't want to pay for tools like Midjourney, I would just use ChatGPT. But if you want some really good high quality stuff and you want to like create a whole bunch of images, brand assets and all that stuff, I would just pay for Midjourney. I think it's still one of the best tools out there for image generation. But if it's a lot more text heavy, then I would probably just stick with ChatGPT. All right, so a lot of people like, using AI for a lot of the writing tasks. You can use ChatGPT for writing if you want, but this is where I like using Claude quite a lot. So here, Claude, we have an option to create custom writing styles. And what I mean by that is if we go to search and tools, we have an option called use style. So if you go back down here, create a new style, create a custom style, all you gotta do is just like add a few examples of your writing style. So maybe LinkedIn posts you have written before, newsletter content you've written before, emails, how you like to write your emails. Just do that and it's gonna turn that into a custom writing style. For example, here I have for like my newsletter writer. Ideally, I would like, search up the topic and kind of put my raw research in there. But let's just say for the sake of this newsletter post on AI crash course for beginners in 2025. Now what I would do is I would just use my writing style. I'm gonna pick my LinkedIn, my newsletter writer, and it's just gonna write in the style which is being trained on. So instead of like, writing in any random style, that's gonna sound like robot. This is one way where you can start writing with more of your own voice and have like AI sort of like emulate your own writing voice or your brand's writing voice, which can be super useful. By the way, if you're wondering what is this orange icon, so this is the app we built called Prompt Genie, which is essentially a prompt engineer. So here's how it pretty much works. Let's say, I want to write a newsletter on AI crash course for beginners in 2025. Again, I don't have a writing style, I'm just doing some random research work or brainstorming work. Like my output is only good as my prompt. Like, you need to give instructions to AI to be able to get better results. Let's use a simple intern analogy or like freelancer analogy. If I just like tell this to my freelancer, like, hey, write this blog post for me or like this newsletter for me, they don't know what I want. They don't have my writing style. Like they don't know what is my audience, what is the goal of this writing piece and whatnot. We need to give AI better instructions. So we're all lazy. So we built this Chrome extension where, just click on it here and I'm just going to ask it to optimize my prompt. If I already have a prompt, I'm just going to go here to my save prompts and just kind of copy my prompt right over. Instead of maintaining a Google Doc or a Notion doc where I have all my prompts, I can quickly access my prompts with that as well. But here, I'm just going to ask AI to optimize my prompt. I'm going to wait for it to do its thing. Gonna copy it over. Let's see what this prompt's like. So here we have a prompt where you'll be writing a newsletter for a course with the year as a reference year. See, we're already getting better here. So target audience is the people who are new to AI and want to learn the basics. Again, this is a prompting template. We can modify whatever we need to. Begin with introduction, explaining the purpose of the newsletter, In the next section, outline the key topics that will be covered. So we have key topics, intro to AI machine learning, supervised learning, algorithms, unsupervised learning, ethics, considerations. Then we have suggested hands-on projects and exercises to begin. And then we have, like a bit of an output format here. Then conclude the newsletter with summary sections to recap the key points. Then we have conclusion, additional tips for beginners that we need to worry about. And then instructions to write in a clear, concise, beginner-friendly manner throughout the newsletter. Use examples, analogies, and visuals where appropriate to aid understanding. Good luck. That's kind of funny, it added good luck at the very end. But as you can see, like this prompt already seems a lot better than what we had before. We can do this ourselves, once you kind of get better and better, or as a starting point, you can just use Prompt Genie. One click, boom, you're like instant prompt engineer. All right, next up. So I hope you have a bit more basics of things you can do with AI, and hopefully you have some ideas flowing and you have a first few tasks you can delegate to AI. Here's how I think about starting using AI. Like the Eisenhower metrics to like prioritize tasks. If it's urgent and important, do it now. If it's not urgent but important, decide when to do it. If it's not important but urgent, delegate. If it's neither important nor urgent, just delete it. So I would say maybe like look into these two buckets and see what sort of tasks you can start getting AI to help you out with. Is it non-urgent and important task? depending on how sensitive the data is, and like if you don't want AI to hallucinate, and it's fine if it hallucinates a little bit, or you want it to delegate the tasks which are like not important or urgent. So that's how I would probably start, bucketing my different tasks and like, use these two buckets to start using AI. And once you're like comfortable with, things AI can do, some of the tasks you've done using AI, we can start using tools like Zapier to put things on autopilot. Zapier, like I said, is the most connected orchestration platform. Essentially, it's like a platform where we can connect like a bunch of different apps, just simple drag and drop, and it can do a whole bunch of things for us. For example, here's my AI automation, where as soon as like I'm on a website for a lead, I'm just gonna do a single push from my Chrome extension. It's gonna go to Appify, it's gonna scrape the URL for the website, it's gonna understand what the business is, what they do. Then we're gonna go to ChatGPT, and ChatGPT is going to extract, if there's any email listed on their website, who their target audience is, what is their value proposition, what is the name of product and the services they offer. We're going to create a spreadsheet row with the data about the lead. We send that message to Anthropic. We're going to turn that into an email, which is going to be a cold outreach email. And now we have a draft email, which is going to be like an outreach email done automatically through a Chrome extension push. This is like a way I can automate like a personalized cold outreach by just a single click by building all this automation. I just want to like show you how you use Zapier to connect a bunch of different apps with AI and like do a whole bunch of cool stuff. I have a whole playlist on my channel where I've built a bunch of different AI agents that can do a lot of cool stuff. So go check it out if you're more curious about the things you can do with Zapier and by building these small little AI agents for yourself. Anyway, that was the video. We went over just the big four, the ChatGPT, Gemini, Claude, and Copilot. We went in depth for like ChatGPT. Different features, if you're a beginner, all the basics for it. We looked into different tools, what are they capable of, generating images, generating videos, generating music, presentations, the prompting tool, some of the writing stuff, and building simple AI agents with Zapier. If this video was useful, give a thumbs up, leave a comment if you want to deep dive into one of these topics. But as always, the content is free here. So all I would love is like a little thumbs up if the video was useful to you, and leave a comment so we can keep the conversation going. I'll see you next time.